Hello, fellow science nerds. Welcome to the channel. At Rando Science Nerd, we are going to try and make science and learning about science and physics and the world and all of that a fun experience. So let's get started. We have a really fun episode today. We're going to dive into one of the most fundamental processes in all of biology, which is cell division. Now, I want you to start by thinking of two things. First, a photocopy machine. You put in one document and you get out a perfect identical copy. That's it, simple, straightforward, cha-chink, cha-chink, copy, one-to-one. Next, I want you to imagine shuffling a deck of cards and dealing a hand to 4 different players. Each hand is completely unique with a new and unpredictable combination of cards. These two ideas, the identical copy and the unique shuffle, are the perfect analogy for what we're talking about today, mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is our copy machine and meiosis is our card dealer. In this lesson, we're going to explore what these two processes are, how they work, and why life absolutely depends on both of them for everything from healing a cut to creating the incredible diversity that we see all around us. Why do we need cell division? So why do we even need to talk about this? Because it's happening to you right now. Think about it. How did you get from being a tiny baby to the person you are today? You grew. That's growth is a result of your body making trillions of new cells. And what about the last time you scraped your knee? What happened after a few days? It healed. Your body used cell division to repair the damage and create new skin. Finally, for any species to survive, it has to pass its genetic information to the next generation. That's reproduction. We got the little spermie going into the egg right here. Growth, repair, and reproduction, they are all handled by cell division. But that brings us to our guiding question for today. Why can't one type of cell division handle everything? Let's find out. Before we go further, we need to remember what a chromosome is. Think of it as a tightly wound package of DNA. It's how the cell keeps all genetic information organized and manageable during division. A great way to think about this is with pairs of shoes. In most of our body cells, we have a full set of chromosomes that come in pairs, one from each parent. We call this diploid. But in sex cells or gametes, like sperm and eggs, we call this haploid. It's like having just one shoe from each pair. For humans, our diploid number is 46, arranged in 23 pairs. So our haploid number is 23. This is critical information. Gametes must be haploid. So when a sperm with 23 chromosomes fertilizes an egg with 23, the new baby or zygote restores the full diploid number of 46. It gets a complete set. Let's start with our photocopy machine, mitosis. The entire goal of mitosis is to produce 2 genetically identical daughter cells from a single parent cell. It's all about creating clones. This is the process your body uses for growth and repair. When you need more skin cells, you need more of the exact same skin cell. No variations, just identical copies. So if you remember one thing about mitosis, let it be this. Mitosis makes more of you exactly like you. Let's talk about the steps of mitosis, or PMAT. Mitosis happens in 4 main stages, which we can remember with the acronym PMAT: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase, the chromosomes condense and become visible. Metaphase, think M for middle. The chromosomes line up in single file right along the middle or the equator of the cell. Anaphase, think of it as far away. So at this point, the sister chromatids are pulled onto opposite sides of the cell. And telophase, think of it the T for 2. New nuclei begin to form around the 2 sets of chromosomes. We see mitosis everywhere. It's how your skin heals, how plants grow taller from the root tips, and how your bone marrow is constantly producing millions of new blood cells. If we look at onion root tips under a microscope, we can actually see these stages in action. You can often find cells where the chromosomes are condensed in prophase or lined up in metaphase. But what happens when this process goes wrong? When a cell loses the ability to regulate its division, it divides uncontrollably. This is what we call cancer. It's essentially mitosis running wild. All right, now for our second process, meiosis. If mitosis is about making identical copies, meiosis is about one thing: making unique gametes, sperm and eggs, for sexual reproduction. The goal here is not to make clones. The goal is to create genetic diversity. Think back to our card shuffling analogy. Meiosis is what shuffles the genetic deck every single generation. Without it, you and your siblings would all be identical clones of a combination of your parents. Not good. Now let's talk about the steps of meiosis. Meiosis is a bit more complex. It involves 2 rounds of division, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis is where all the shuffling happens. In prophase, homologous chromosomes, the pair you got from each parent, find each other and pair up. This is when something amazing called crossing over can happen, where they literally exchange pieces of DNA. This is the first shuffle of the deck. In metaphase 1, the pairs line up in the middle, but how they line up is totally random. This is called independent assortment, and it's the second shuffle. In anaphase 1, the pairs are pulled apart, not the copies. After telophase 1 and cytokinesis, we're left with 2 haploid cells, but the chromosomes are still duplicated. Okay, so let's just imagine that you have 2 chromosomes lined up right in front of you. And basically what's happening is one part of the chromosome is crossing over the other, and the other chromosome's crossing over the other one, and that's how you get that type of crossing over. And so what happens there is you're getting chromosomes that have potentially never existed before. Okay, let's move on to the steps of meiosis 2. So meiosis 2 is much simpler. It's basically mitosis, but it happens to our 2 haploid cells. The sister chromatids line up in the middle and are then pulled apart. The end result from our 1 original diploid cell, we now have 4 non-identical haploid gametes. Each one is genetically unique. Mitosis has successfully done its 2 jobs: cutting the chromosome number in half and introducing genetic variation. So this is a really simplified illustration of it, but if you can see here, each one of these is completely unique. So let's recap 3 main ways mitosis creates so much genetic diversity. Crossing over. That's where the chromosomes exchange genes between the homologous chromosomes that are lined up during prophase 1. Independent assortment. That's the random ways chromosomes line up during the metaphase. And then random fertilization. So there's millions of possible sperm and eggs, and they're following, all headed towards that egg, and it's completely random which one of those genetically unique sperms is going to make it to the egg. So, I mean, just think about that. We are all that champion sperm that made it to the egg. Okay, this is the process responsible for producing all the sperm and eggs for sexual reproduction, but sometimes errors happen. If chromosomes don't separate properly, a mistake called non-disjunction can lead to genetic disorders like Down syndrome, which is caused by having an extra copy of chromosome 21. From an evolutionary perspective, this variation is the secret to survival. A genetically diverse population is much more likely to have individuals who can survive a new disease or change in the environment. Variation is the engine of evolution. Okay, so now we're going to compare the 2 side by side. Let's put it all together. Mitosis, 1 round of division, produces 2 diploid cells that are identical, and its purpose is growth and repair. Meiosis, 2 rounds of division, and it produces 4 haploid cells that are unique, and its purpose is sexual reproduction. Okay, so now I'm gonna give out, it's gonna be a quick fire round. I want you to think about this and try to quickly tell me, or leave it in the comments or in your head. A lizard regrows its tail. Is that mitosis or meiosis? Dun, 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 dun. Mitosis, correct? A flower is producing pollen. Is that mitosis or meiosis? Meiosis. Excellent. Okay, so now let's think of, imagine a mutation happens in a single cell. Scenario 1. The mutation occurs in a skin cell due to sun exposure. The error is copied through mitosis, potentially leading to skin cancer, but it only affects that one person. Okay, scenario 2. The mutation occurs in a cell in the ovaries or testes. The error is now part of a gamete created by meiosis. This mutation can be passed on to offspring, affecting an entire family line for generations. So which mutation is more impactful in the short term? And which is more impactful in the long term for the species as a whole? So I think, honestly, this is kind of a loaded question, right? But if we think about this, if somebody develops skin cancer, it's only going to affect them. They're not going to be pass that cancer down to the next generation. However, if this mutation in the gamete, if that gamete, either a sperm or an egg, or if that gets passed down through generations and generations, even if it's a passive gene or it's not a non-dominant gene, it can affect the entire family line. It can affect multiple generations. So that's an interesting way to think about it and to really understand what these mutations in mitosis or meiosis, how the repercussions can either be a short-term effect or a really long-term effect in regards to evolution as a whole. Okay, so our final review quiz. Let's see what you have learned. Healing a broken bone, mitosis. Producing eggs, meiosis. Making more skin cells, that's mitosis. If we need to create genetic variations, that's meiosis. And which process results in two identical cells? Think the copy machine, mitosis. And if we are creating 4 unique cells, that's meiosis. So this kind of quiz or review is basically meant to make you think of which process is related to mitosis versus meiosis. On tests and quizzes, often it'll ask which one is responsible for it, or it'll go even further to ask, which stage that occurs in. So it's good to have a good grasp on this core concept early. Okay, so we've learned about the 2 different dances. We have mitosis, our trusty copy machine, which makes identical diploid cells to help us create and heal. And we have meiosis, our expert card dealer, which shuffles our genes to create unique haploid gametes, driving genetic diversity and reproduction. Both are absolutely essential for life as we know it. On your way out leaving this video, please write in the comments one difference between mitosis and meiosis. Anything you've learned today, even if it's just a question, if you have a question about it, and give me one real-world example of either process, and I will respond to every single comment. Let me know what you liked about this video, what you didn't like, what you want to learn in the future, if you want me to slow down, speed up, more pictures, whatever it is. I want to help you learn science, and I want to make it fun. So thank you so much for checking out the video, and I will catch you nerds on the next one. Bye!